Hey guys, welcome to another video. And in this video, I wanted to talk about what we can learn from the Sherrone Moore situation. And for those of you that don't know, Sherrone Moore was the head coach, I believe, for the University of Michigan's football team. But he got caught with having like an inappropriate relationship with one of the staffers on the team. And so he got fired, and a few hours after they fired him, he got arrested because I guess he like broke into the female staffer's house that he had an inappropriate, relationship with. And from my understanding, he was like threatening her or like stalked her to her house or something. And this was such a crazy situation because here you have this head coach of one of the most storied franchises in college football, and he gets caught up in this scandal, loses his job, and literally a few hours later, he's in jail. And so it's like he goes from this head coach that's making $6 million a year to now all of a sudden he doesn't have a job and he's in jail. And mind you, he was married with kids and everything. And so it's like you almost saw this man's life kind of crumble right in front of him, kind of on a world stage, if you will. And so there's a lot, though, that can be learned from this situation. And this obviously isn't to judge Sherrone Moore. I think it's extremely important that we continue to pray for him, that we pray that he repents, that he comes to Jesus, and that he gets right, because chances are this isn't something that happened out of nowhere. This started most likely is something innocent where maybe they became friends, close friends, and then something happened. But the biggest thing that we can learn from this is really the importance of having boundaries when it comes to the opposite sex, when you're in a relationship. And I also wanted to give a quick plug, a quick shout out for my ebook. And so I wrote an ebook about relationships called Loved Already: How to Stop Chasing and Start Believing. And the link to get that is in the description. But so continuing on with the video, basically what happened, or what I'm thinking can happen, right, is when you're in a relationship or married, whatever, and let's say you're having issues at home, and maybe instead of venting to a person of the same sex, like a friend of yours, a homie of yours, you start talking to a girl about these issues. And let's say that your wife is nagging you about something, whatever the case may be. Now you go to a girl and you're talking to her, you're venting to her about how your wife is nagging you, how she's making you do these things, how you don't like it. And instead of going to your wife about these complaints or these issues that you have, you're going to another woman. And so this woman might validate your emotions. She might give you some advice. She might, make you feel like everything is okay. And then before you know it, what happens also on that from that girl's perspective is now she's privy to information that she shouldn't have. And so now she's starting to think, oh wow, like this guy's wife doesn't treat him that well, or I could treat him better than his wife. And so now on both sides, a seed starts to get planted where both people almost like subconsciously can start having these thoughts. And so let's say that's one time, two times, and now all of a sudden they become really close. So now maybe they're grabbing lunch together. Maybe they're grabbing coffee together before work. Maybe they're going out for an innocent drink on like a Friday or like a Saturday night after a game or something. Or maybe, and then it slowly starts to turn into something that it shouldn't have, all because it started with one person or the other person, whatever, venting to the other person and giving them information that they shouldn't have. And so now one person starts to get extremely comfortable with this other person. And so then Before you know it, you start lusting for this other person. And then you start thinking, oh, well, dang, this person always makes me feel so much better when I'm stressed out. This person always validates my emotions so well. Wow, this person's always there for me when I need them to be. And so now, as humans, you start to develop that connection for someone else outside of your marriage. You start to develop these feelings and these emotions for somebody that's not your wife. And so now, what started as just a platonic friendship is slowly starting to mold and transform into something different. And this is why, and it's funny because I didn't realize this until I started dating. Because before, when I was single, I didn't really understand. Like, oh, how come a guy and a girl can't just be friends? How come a guy and a girl, if they're close friends or if they were before, how come that can't continue? And this is the reason why, because even if it is to continue, some serious boundaries have to be set. Where, for example, if the wife is having issues in a marriage, she might talk to her girls, about what's going on. But for her to go to another man and to complain to him about what's going on is already putting that marriage or that relationship in jeopardy, because it's easy to talk to one person about some problems that you're having and for them to validate you, for them to make you feel like you're heard and you're seen. But what people oftentimes don't realize is, I don't care who it is you're dating, who it is you're in a relationship with, at some point in time, there's going to be some sort of issue, some sort of conflict that needs to be solved. But the problem is, if you constantly run to somebody else to talk to them instead of resolving it directly with your partner, A, the problem's never going to be solved, but B, the person is always going to be unhappy. They're always going to wonder, how come this person's always like this? How come this person isn't understanding that they need to change? Because, for example, if one person struggles with not communicating, another person might struggle with not showing affection the way that person does. And so now what people end up doing unknowingly is they're trading some problems for other problems. And regardless of how you look at it, we're all human beings. And so everybody has their flaws. Everybody has their own things that they wish they could be better with, that they're trying to work on. But at the end of the day, when people go from loving somebody and trusting somebody to now trusting somebody else outside of their relationship, outside of their marriage, they severely jeopardize the integrity of that relationship. Because it's extremely important for any relationship to succeed, you need communication, you need transparency on both sides, but you need both people in the relationship to be comfortable interacting and talking with one another. And so if that's not a thing, if that's not something that is currently, there, then it's extremely difficult for that relationship to succeed in the long term. And so, yeah, again, you guys, I just want to reiterate that this video isn't to judge Sherrone Moore or to try to say that I know definitively what happened between him and this female staffer. It's simply to just give my take on what we can learn from this situation as a whole, and how we can be better husbands, how we can be better boyfriends, better fiancés, by not sacrificing the integrity of our relationship by going to people outside of the relationship with our problems, when it should be handled in a calm and respectful manner with our wife or with our girlfriend or with our fiance. And so I hope that this video brought you guys some value. If you guys like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and share it to someone who needs to see this as well. Share this with someone who's struggling in their current relationship or engagement or marriage. And again, you guys, my ebook, Loved Already, How to Stop Chasing and Start Believing, is linked in the description below. And I'll talk to all you guys in the next video.